HK-T4A version 2 4-channel radio. What we're going to do today is extend the movement of that stick so that for our sailboats we can get the sails to move further. The sail servo will rotate further, and we're going to take away some material here, and there's mechanical stops on the gimbals inside there that we're going to also remove. So, and remove 4 screws here, 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 and here in order to open the case. And you lay it over this direction because of this wire. And if you want to, you can disconnect that wire so you don't have to play with it. Okay, so it's this gimbal here we want to work on, and we want to lengthen that movement. Now notice that there's an arm here, a spring arm, that holds the tension so that the stick doesn't move on its own without you touching it. It's just a little drag, and we're going to have to modify that because when we lengthen the throw of the stick, that thing's going to drop off the end. So we're going to have to modify the shape of that spring. Now there's 4 places, 4 stops that we need to remove, and those are here, 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 and here. The next thing I'm going to do is mark the spots that I want to remove plastic, because when I take this gimbal out of the case, it's symmetric in a couple different ways, and it's easy to get lost as to what you want to remove, and it's also easy to get lost when you're going to put the thing back together. Don't ask me how I know that. I've done this before. So I'm going to mark this with white paint, the surface that I want to remove. There's 1, there's 2, and then three and 4. I'm also going to mark the surfaces here that I want to remove. We're going to make a groove here and here so that the stick can move even further. And that way we should be able to get about 130 degrees movement on our servos as opposed to 80 or 85. Okay. Let's see now. I'm also going to mark, since I'm going to be taking some of this stuff apart, I'm going to mark the gimbal case, and the potentiometer. These are all going to come out in parts, and it's easy to get those swapped around, and then after you've put it all back together and tested it, and you'll see that the sticks don't do what they should, then you got to tear it all down and start over. So hopefully that won't happen this time. Okay, now we're going to try and remove the gimbal. Well, we are going to remove the gimbal from the radio. That you have to remove 3 screws. That one there is a dummy. Okay, now I've got the 3rd screw out, and this should fall away, kind of. We've got things on the other side happening that are in the way. main thing is this little board right here, and it'll unplug. You can lift it off of those pins and lay it over to the side and put it back on later. Now the gimbal comes out like we want it to, so that we can work on it. To work on it, we've got to disassemble the gimbal. So to do that, there are some retaining springs, circles. One on this potentiometer and one on this potentiometer. We've got to get them out. This one's easy. That one we've got to disassemble some springs and stuff. That's not quite as easy. So I need to try and coax that ring off of there. And to do that, I've got to release this connection here. It's a pop through. Coax that back through that hole. Okay, so we've got one of the potentiometers removed from the gimbal. Now I've got to remove the other one. Okay, we've got the gimbal out now. We've got to disassemble it so we can do the cutting away of the stops and cut grooves in the bezel for the stick to go to. As you can see, the stick right now does not even hit the bezel. When we remove the stops, it'll hit the bezel, and we'll remove some material there to let it go even further. Okay, we need to remove this detent spring first. And next thing that's kind of bothersome is we've got to get this assembly off. That's that spring that keeps the tension and the free centering of the other axis of this stick. We've got to get that out of the way. So I'm going to remove that. Okay, we've got it apart now. Got the gimbal apart. That last part comes pretty easily compared to all the others. And we need to put a groove here and a groove there. And then go back to the marks I made, and you see that this is the piece of plastic we need to remove right here, and here, because that's what stops the rotation. So next I'm going to file grooves here and here for the stick to fit into when it's at full travel. So here's how I make the groove. Starting to undercut there. And sides.
You're removing the nub right down to the flat, right here, right?
Down to this flat
Correct.
here.
Right, right,
yeah,
right,
so
right,
you
right.
need to remove
Okay.
that whole square
Get your finger
down
out of the
to
way and let
that
me see what-
level. Better? Okay, I think you'll find that stable.
Try to do a prettier job this time.
Oh, that's much prettier than I did.